Weather event not seen in 20 years, a mammoth deluge swamping parts of Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. Many suburbs have been evacuated as floodwaters blocked off streets, brought down trees and left thousands without power in Sydney. While in Queensland, the rain shows no signs of letting up and experts are warning the worst is yet to come. Our team is out covering this wet weather and wild weather this morning. First to Gabrielle Boyle in Penrith. Gabby, some residents have been forced to flee their homes last night.
Yeah, that's correct, Tracy. Thousands of residents across Sydney spent the night in other places because their homes were simply too dangerous. In some parts of Sydney, we have seen 2 months' worth of rain fall in just 24 hours. And here, places like Penrith, we've seen 112 millimetres in 24 hours. Just extraordinary amounts of rain. You can see the river here behind me has well and truly burst its banks. It is thick, brown, muddy and absolutely disgusting. It's already got a smell. It is going to be a massive clean-up job when they get to that. But, of course, that won't be any time soon because we've got more rain predicted for the next few days. But let me tell you what Sydney's looking like this morning. North, south, east, west. It is an absolute mess. We've got rivers like the Georges, Nepean and Hawkesbury that have absolutely burst their banks after 2 days of non-stop rain. Streets have been closed. We've got trees down right across the city. We've got inaccessible areas for many people. As I said, evacuations widespread. And some of the most hard-hit areas have been our coastline with erosion on many of the beaches. Many people forced to evacuate in those areas as well. Low-lying areas very hard hit. We've seen the Blue Mountains badly affected with many people out of their homes there. In fact, some have been without power for 2 days now. It's going to be very difficult getting in and around, getting to work this morning with so many road closures. It's affected train stations as well. And we're being told to prepare with plenty of extra time before we head out and about in Sydney today. And as I said, those rainy conditions are expected to continue for the next few days. But there is, Tracy, a little bit of good news to come out of this. Warragamba Dam is expected to reach 50% capacity. And given we've had drought conditions for so long now and water restrictions in place in Sydney, that is very welcome news. The other bit of good news to come out of this absolute torrential downpour is that our bushfires have been extinguished in some areas. So some good news for the RFS, but certainly a very busy weekend for the SES, who've received more than 10,000 call-outs for help. Surely that has to be a record for them as well. Very busy guys and girls at the SES, Tracy.
Indeed. All right, Gabby, thank you. Across to Brianna Scully, who is at Moore Park. Brianna, commuters are being warned this morning to expect major delays.
Yeah, that's right, Tracy. It's tough enough to get to work on a Monday morning, but it's going to be even harder today with so many roads turned into rivers. I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but there's a bicycle almost completely submerged with the water on the road here. So hopping on your bike, probably not the best idea this morning. And you won't be spared if you get on the bus or the train either, with New South Wales Transport warning commuters to expect major delays across all forms of public transport. Now, that tough morning, it's going to start from the very beginning for tens of thousands of people who are going to wake up this morning without power. And maybe some good news for some kids, not so much for their parents, but more than 50 schools across New South Wales are closed today, with these storms creating chaos right across the state. We saw many close calls yesterday, 4 people escaping serious injury in Sydney's CBD when a tree fell on their car, and a home in Bayview was almost split in two when a tree fell down on them there. We've had emergency services personnel say they haven't seen anything like this in more than 20 years, so it's very serious here across the state. There is some good news. These conditions, they are expected to ease slightly later today, but until then, get your umbrellas ready, leave plenty of time to get to work and stay safe on our roads, Tracy.
Lots of patience out there this morning. Brianna, thank you. Let's go to 9, where the presenter Gavin Morrison, who is tracking the front in Newcastle. Gavin, how long will this rain stick around?
Tracy, that very intense rain band that unleashed on the Central Coast Sydney Basin, Illawarra, across the last couple of days has now moved south. So under threat is going to be southern New South Wales along the coast, but this system is also pushing now in over the mountains across the capital. That is good news for those fire grounds. The extraordinary part of this story is the low is now going to stall. It'll sit over the state of New South Wales, and the threat of showers and storms is going to re-emerge throughout the inland areas of the the northwest. The northern rivers will become under threat as well, and we'll see more heavy falls continue as we move through the latter part of the week for the southern New South Wales coast, and then we'll be keeping a close eye on that tropical low in the Coral Sea. It may become a cyclone and then re-threaten the east coast of Australia.
It is a huge concern. All right, Gavin, thank you. Across the border in Queensland, the town of Dalby has been swallowed by floodwaters, and that's where we find 9 Sophie Uproff. Soph, how are conditions looking there this morning?
Well, Tracy, thankfully floodwaters are on their way down this morning. They are dropping just below 2 metres. This comes after the town of Dalby was completely inundated by a torrent of fast-moving floodwater in the early hours of yesterday morning. The floodwaters peaked at around 3.15 metres, but they swallowed the low-lying areas of this town incredibly quickly. Locals tell us that it consumed the bridge here in just under half an hour. Thankfully, no homes were destroyed, but there is quite a bit of damage. You can see from these pictures that the floodwaters moved through backyards and right through the bottom floor of a number of low-lying homes. There has also been some quite serious flash flooding right across southeast Queensland over the weekend, with the Gold Coast copping over 200 millimetres of rain. Now, we haven't received much rain here in Dalby overnight, which is good news. So the floodwaters will continue to decrease here, but unfortunately we will start to see the true damage toll as that happens, Tracy.